Part of me would love to let you guys just keep going and keep talking. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. Afterwards, maybe your table goes and grabs some lunch. Like, what? Meet some people. Go have some lunch together. Maybe none of you like each other at the end of it and you never talk again. Speed date, give it a try. Who knows? Might work out and you might make a great new friend at the end of it all. But let me rein you back in so we can bring this to a close. Because listen, here's the danger if we choose to stay in hiding. And if we choose that our church experience is largely just I attend on a Sunday and then I go home, here's the danger. It's not just that you will remain unknown. It's that you will end up treating Jesus and the community of the church the same way this woman attempted to, as something to take from and never give to, just to take from. And here's the thing. Every time I say the word give, here's where some of you automatically go, you're going to talk about money now. Okay, it's not about money. I'm not talking about giving money. Do you know the most valuable thing you have to contribute is not money, it's you. It's who you are. It's your personality, your dynamic, your outlook on life. It's who God has made you to be. It is His image pressed into your soul. The greatest thing you have to contribute here is you. And I'm just becoming more and more convinced that when I talk to people who make assumptions and assertions like, nobody there cared about me, they're cliquey, nobody knew me, nobody valued me. Like, listen, are there times that that's true? Yes. Are there times that, unfortunately, people in a larger group can slip through the cracks? Absolutely. Is it true that sometimes some people are more assertive and they just get to the front of the line easier? Yes. But I am increasingly convinced that when I talk to people that just foot stomp down, nobody knew me, nobody cared about me, they're cliquey and I'm leaving, here's what I'm realizing. I think I'm talking to somebody that sees the church as something more to take from than to contribute to. And some of you might even go, wait, whoa. I serve. I'm on a team. I show up once a month. I do my thing. I'm contributing. Again, listen, I'm not talking about your contribution to a team. That's part of it. Do we need that? Absolutely. Are we appreciative of it? Certainly. But do you think that the greatest thing you have to contribute is just filling a schedule and turning a knob? Some of us are committed to the programs, but we're not committed relationally. We're not committed to the people. You know what we need from each of you more than anything else is you. Is your life coming to bear in this community. Doing life with one another. That the greatest thing that you have to contribute is you here. And here's the hard reality, and the scary one, is that you can make the church a place to just go to and take from, and it would still be a benefit to you. You know, I think there have been times in the past, in my immaturity and my lack of understanding of this thing called the church, where I have actually said, if you're just going to consume from the church, then the church will never be a benefit to you. I actually don't think that's true. I think you could sit here all day long and just take and take and take, and it would be a benefit to you. And some of you, it has been. Some of you, even right now, you're like, hey, I've just been slipping out and slipping in for years, and nobody really knows me, and I don't do much, and it's been a good thing for me, so it's working out for me. And you know what? It may continue to. Because even in the story, this woman's healing wasn't predicated on the fact that she went and stood in front of Jesus, fessed up that she touched him, and then he went, okay, now you're healed. She did a sneak grab run, and she got healed. And she could have stayed in that place. Like her story could have been nothing more than a footnote. And one time in a crowd, somebody touched Jesus. Right? It never would have happened because that's an insignificant detail. It does make me wonder if it ever did. Like she wasn't the only one that knew that prophecy. She wasn't the only one that knew that there was a prophecy that if you even just touched his garment, you would be healed. I wonder if there were other people that did. But they chose to sneak back into hiding. See, that could have been her story. And that could be yours. And maybe right now for some of you that is. Maybe you have determined just to come in and slip out, and it has been a benefit to you, and it could continue to be. You could stay in hiding and the church be a benefit to you, but here's the reality. You will never be a benefit to the church. And you will never be a benefit to the people around you. Men and women who you have been made to hold up the arms of as well. What if it's possible that there is a lack and a loss in the life and in the soul of another human being in this community because you have chosen to stay in hiding when God made you to be a part of the very arms that would hold up theirs? So you could take and you could benefit. But the people that God made to benefit from you never will then. And so there's this moment that this woman has to make a very simple decision, but a very deeply profound and personal one. And it was a decision as to whether or not she was going to continue in the direction she was going. I'm just going to stay back in the crowd. I don't want to be known. I don't want to put myself out there. Or I'm going to step out of hiding, and I'm going to be known. And here's how it goes. At once Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. And so he turned around in the crowd and he asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you ask who touched you?" I mean, they're just like, what do you mean who touched you? There's people touching you everywhere. What are you talking about? And Jesus kept on looking around to see who had done it. And then the woman, knowing what had been done to her and what happened, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Listen to me. If you want to stand out, you have to step out. If you want to stand out, you have to step out. If you want to be more than just a face in the crowd, then you have to make a decision at some point to step out of your fear, step out of your insecurity, step out of your selfishness, step out of whatever it is that tells you to stay back. You have to step out if you're going to eventually stand out. And there was a moment where this woman realized, I can either stay where I'm at, or as Jesus calls me out, I can step out. Or I could just keep taking and keep taking. And can I just suggest, our world is full of enough people that see life through those lenses, isn't it? Our world is full of enough people that see this world as something to merely take from. Consumers who just take and take and take and take and see this world through the lenses of what I can get, what I'm owed, what I deserve, and see the people around them as mere things to take things from. Like, am I alone in this, or do we agree? Like, is this our world? We're just always out to get what we want and to get our own. Maybe it's time that the church start asking, how do we distinguish ourselves as different? And become a community that puts others' needs ahead of our own. You go, that's foolish. No, it's biblical. And it's the life that Jesus calls us to. How could it be otherwise when at the epicenter of what we believe is a God, not a prophet, not a man, a God who gave himself up for us, than for him to call us to do the same? Maybe it's time the church distinguish itself as a community committed to put others' needs ahead of their own. A community of people who don't just go through life going, what can I get, but what can I give? A community of people not going, what can I take from you? What can I do for you? And a community of people that have virtually no time to complain about what's not done for them because they spend their time looking for what they can do for others. I got one person that agrees with me. Thank you. Do we agree? Should this not be what makes the church in part the church and makes this a community different than any other community? It should be. And I love what becomes the catalyst for this woman deciding she's going to step out. Did you catch it? Can we put it on the screen? This is what she says. At one point she says, knowing what had been done to her, or knowing what had happened to her. In other words, she has this clear moment whereas Jesus calls her out of hiding. She's aware. I just experienced something incredible. Like, this moment has been good to me. It has been a blessing to me. This moment, it changed me. It is changing me. She's aware something good just happened to me. And based on that, her conclusion was, I can't keep that to myself. I can't stay in hiding when this moment, this man has done so much for me. Knowing what had happened to her, she decided to come out of hiding. Listen to me. Has the church happened to you? Has the community happened to you? Has Jesus happened to you? Like, in other words, has he brought any benefit to your life? Has he brought good to your life? Has this community, has it been a good thing for you to some degree or another? Then if it has, may we be men and women because of what has happened to us that step out of whatever degree of hiding we have been in, that we would be that good to one another. That we would ask, what is it then that I have been made to bring and contribute to this community? I'm glad that there are so many of you here that have been able to take from us. And you know what? I'll keep giving because it's what God's called me to do. But what he has called all of us to do is to give to one another, to be the arms that hold up the arms of each other and be a different kind of community than the rest of the world. One where we are known, where we are loved, where we are valued, and where men and women are committed to us becoming all that God made us to be. That's the community he made us for. And this place has the potential to be that. It has the potential to be a community unlike any other community or gathering of people on this globe. But seldom have I seen that you will get more out of this community than what you're willing to give into it and to contribute. So there's a lot of different ways that we have tried to open up opportunity for you to step out and to step into relationships, to bring to bear who you are and how God has made you. And some of them are simple. Maybe some of them are as simple as we have a cafe over there, come 20 minutes before service so you could actually talk to people. You can meet people, that you can be known. Like, that's why we made that place. It's not for coffee. Starbucks serves better coffee than we do, and they're right there on the corner. We didn't do that for coffee. We did that for you. We did that for relationship. We did that for space to get face to face. Because the most important thing that happens here on a Sunday morning isn't me on this stage. I'm just a part of it. But I pray that I am only an addition to everything else that happens when you bring your life to bear with one another. So maybe that's just a simple step you take today. I'm going to stop just sneaking in before service starts and leaving during the last song. I'm going to give myself a chance to actually be known and talk. And for some of you, listen, I've talked to some of you. You're like, hey, I did that for a while and nobody talked to me. That's because you stood against the back wall like this. And you looked like you were going to eat somebody if they got within 5 feet of you. I won't even talk to you if that's you. Like some of you are intimidating. Like just put yourself out there. Or maybe it is. Just invite somebody you don't know out to lunch. Go grab a bite to eat. Go grab a meal. Introduce yourself. Meet somebody new. Maybe it is jumping into a small group. Maybe it is jumping into a team to serve and starting to get plugged in. But I would beg you, because some of you could say, I'm doing all that stuff. Great, and you are. But some of you are still, you're lost in the crowd because of your own decision, and I would just beg you, step out. Listen to me, for your benefit and for ours. We have been made for you, and I believe you have been made for us. Can I just tell you one last thing in closing that we're trying to do this next year, give you a bit of a preview that we're going to do different. In January, when our small groups launch off into their next semester, we're going to be making a change that we've not done before in how we have organized our small groups. So if you're regular here, you may know this, but we do these groups that get together in homes. Some of them gather even here. They do it throughout the week on different days for the purpose of meeting other people, getting in God's Word, trying to grow together in our spiritual walk. But one of the ways we have structured those, we're starting to wonder if it isn't working against some of what we're trying to create. In other words, we've broken them up into 6 to 8 weeks. Now, here's how that served us really well, is that over usually the 8 weeks or so, 10 weeks of small groups meeting, it gives you the chance to kind of meet new people and then get out, you know? So if that group didn't really mesh for you, then you can go meet another group of people in the next semester. It also gives people a break, so you can kind of take a pause, take a breath. The problem is that even though it's created kind of a broad awareness of people, especially with multiple services here, you know, you could go and never know some people. So now there's, you know, through these semesters and different groups that change throughout the year, you can meet a lot of different people. The problem is because every time the semester changes, we're jumping into new groups with new people and new faces and new leaders, is that a lot of those relationships stay kind of surfacey and we don't really get in each other's lives and invite each other into our lives. And so starting in January, when our semester kicks off, we have asked our small group leaders, and we will be asking you to make a year commitment instead of a 10-week commitment. To be willing to journey together for a year at least with one another. And maybe they'll even extend beyond that. Maybe some of those groups will go longer, but we're asking, could you value this thing called community? And the relationships God made us for enough to say, sometimes that doesn't happen in 8 weeks. And sometimes that doesn't happen over the course of an objective and a curriculum that we have to get through because that becomes the objective. And sometimes what takes place in the family of God takes place over time. And so in January, we're gonna see what happens if we commit to one another for at least a year, to be in each other's lives and to do our journey of faith side by side for more than just the blip of the semester length that we've been doing. And I would tell you this, to this present day, in all sincerity, some of my best friends, several of which are sitting in this room right now, were formed before I ever came here to Paradox and launched this church at a different church where I was a part of a small group just like that. People, some of which I didn't even know hardly until we began those groups together, have become to this very day some of my dearest, most precious friends who at many times throughout the course of my life have held up my arms. And I think at different times, my wife and I have helped hold up theirs. And so we're going to try and see if we do this change in structure, does it help change some of the relationship level that we have? So here's how we're going to close right now. I'm going to turn it back to your table, and we're going to take communion together. Hopefully some of you didn't think that was just bread and juice to eat during breakfast. So listen, this will also be different. Usually we do communion at the back of the room, and we ask you to go to the tables and get your communion there. But right now they're sitting at your tables. And so we would just ask that you would pass them around the table and share that moment together. So for us, here's what makes communion so important. It was one of the last things that Jesus instructed his church to do. At the time, it was 12 men gathered around a dinner table, probably not too dissimilar, just sitting down, eating a meal. And he said, do this. Every time you gather, you do this in remembrance of me. And so we do. It's like the 2,000-year-old Polaroid of what Jesus did for us on the cross in his ripped body. That's the bread. His shed blood. That's the juice. And I also know this. Some of you aren't sure what you even think of God. Jesus, if there is one, is Jesus him? Know this, two things. Number one, we made this place for you. We started this church for you, to be a safe place for you to come, explore Jesus, doubt, question, disagree. We made this to be a place for you to journey towards Jesus and figure out who he is. So if you're going, I don't even know who Jesus is, I don't want to do communion. Number two thing, no shame. There's no shame in that. Just let that pass by. But for others of us that are here, that you believe there is a God, and Jesus is him, and that this thing that we celebrate, the cross and the resurrection, it is not a story. It is our reality and our destiny. Then we do this in remembrance of him. So as you're ready, at your table, on your own time, as the band leads us to one last song, would you celebrate the Lord's Supper?
And after you've partaken in communion, please feel free to stand and sing with us. There's a song in my soul, and I feel it stirring in me. This I know for sure, that your love is like a flood, and your mercy never ending. I give my song to you. There's a joy in my soul, and it rises like the morning. This I know for sure, that your grace is enough, and your promise never breaking. I give my song to you. And all of your goodness, it's like a well running over. Oh, my soul, it sings for you. For all of your goodness, I will love you forever. All my songs I sing to you. Yes, all my songs I sing for you.
Hope in my heart, burning bright in the darkness. This I know for sure, that I will look upon your face, forever dwell in your presence, and always sing to you.
All of your goodness, it's like a well running over. Oh, my soul, it sings for you. All of your goodness, I will love you forever. Oh, my songs I sing for you. Yes, all my songs I sing for you. Let my life be to you a symphony, singing out holy, holy. All my days, every single breath I breathe, singing out holy, holy, yeah. Let my life be to you a symphony, singing out holy, holy, yeah. All my days, every single breath I breathe, singing
Hey, two last things I want to throw out to you as opportunities this morning. One is if you're being moved at all and you're like, you know what? All right, I want to take a step. I want to get to know some people around here. I want to do more than just slip in and slip out. We are hosting a lunch today. Just called a welcome lunch. Keeping it clear, keeping it simple with the name. It's downstairs to the left of the staircase when you go down there. Here's all it is. It's food and just a little bit of time to meet some of the staff here. Let us introduce ourselves, say hello, and a chance to answer any questions you may have. And if you have none, then you just get to eat our food and just take a minute to get to know some other people that might be new or newer or trying to figure this place out. So I'd love to invite you to do that. It will be right now, immediately after the service, down those stairs as you walk out. The other is, the reason we started the whole morning with me in superhero stretchy pants was not just to put me in stretchy pants, it was because we are, a couple times a year, we open up our creative department for new people to jump in and get involved. And so we would love to just throw that out to you. If one of the steps that you feel ready to take is to plug in and start to be a part of what makes this happen, then one of the most important areas of Paradox is that creative team, because everything that produces this is the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more underneath what you see on a Sunday of men and women that are working and dreaming and creating and building and planning that end up turning this into what it is on a Sunday. And so I would just love to throw it out to you. If you have any interest in exploring from technical and creative and think tanks and all kinds of other opportunities to be involved in the creative process here, we'd love to talk to you about that. So you can go right out these doors. There's a table set up. There's some of the volunteers that lead this whole part of Paradox that would love to talk to you, answer any questions, and even point you in the direction to go. Other than that, Paradox, if we can pray for you, if we can listen to you, just care on you for a little bit before you walk out these doors. There's a team of people up front that are here specifically to do that today. So y'all are loved, you are cared about, and I pray and hope that you will also be known and know that we need you as well. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you next week.